Hello, Gemini. I'm Selena Hart, and today, the 25th of July, invites you into a space of quiet realignment, one that begins not with the mind, but with the deeper rhythm of your intuition. As someone ruled by Mercury, you're used to leading with thoughts, questions, and language. But today's energy doesn't ask you to solve it, asks you to listen. This isn't the kind of listening that seeks information. It's the kind that requires stillness, a pause long enough to notice what your inner voice has been whispering for weeks now. Something in you is ready to change. You may not have a full plan yet. You may not know what the next step looks like. But your body, your breath, and your emotional undercurrent are pointing toward a quiet truth: you can no longer stay where you've been. Not because it's wrong, but because you've outgrown it. There's a part of you that is tired of cycling through the same emotional patterns, in the same narratives that keep you explaining your feelings instead of living them. Today is a turning point, not because the world outside has shifted, but because something inside you has something subtle, but real. This is an invitation to begin untangling from what no longer fits. Old habits, outdated expectations, or emotional roles you've played for the comfort of others. They're not sustainable anymore. And Gemini, you feel it. You're not being asked to cut everything off or make dramatic exits. You're simply being asked to begin choosing clarity over chaos. Begin choosing rest over performance. Begin choosing alignment over approval. What's forming now is not just a new routine or mindset. It's a new relationship with yourself. One rooted in quiet integrity. One that honors your dual nature without forcing you to fragment. As balance and harmony begin to take shape, not as ideals, but as lived experiences, you may notice your decisions becoming simpler. Not because life gets easier, but because you're no longer negotiating with parts of yourself you've already outgrown. So let this day be a doorway. Step through it, not with pressure, but with presence. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to rush. You only need to trust that where you're being led is exactly where your soul has been waiting to arrive. And as you continue to ground yourself in this internal shift, Gemini, your financial landscape is quietly beginning to reflect that same recalibration. What once felt like delay or uncertainty, perhaps a pending payment, a reward long overdue, or an opportunity that kept slipping just out of reach now, starts to move. Slowly at first. Perhaps, but meaningfully. The Six of Pentacles appears to remind you that true abundance doesn't just come from accumulation, but from understanding the rhythm of exchange, knowing when to give, and more importantly, allowing yourself to receive without guilt or hesitation. You've spent a lot of energy supporting others, showing up with ideas, solutions, or even resources when needed. And while that generosity is part of your nature, the Chariot enters to shift the balance. This card signals that you are now stepping into the driver's seat of your financial path, not by hustling harder, but by becoming more intentional about what truly sustains you. Independence doesn't mean isolation. It means creating systems and streams that reflect your values and protect your peace. Gemini, and this moment is less about sudden windfalls and more about realigning your mindset toward prosperity. You may notice that as you simplify your emotional life, your external life follows. Clarity in your inner world creates clarity in how you earn, spend, and save. If you've been thinking about new ways to generate income, something more flexible, creative, or self-directed, this is your signal to begin exploring those possibilities seriously. Your natural curiosity, paired with a new steadiness, I will take you further than rushing ever did. And while your mind is often racing toward the next idea, the next conversation, The next possibility today, Gemini, your body is asking you to slow down and check in. The Temperance card arrives not as a warning, but as a gentle guidepost. It reminds you that equilibrium isn't just a concept, it's a necessity. Your nervous system, your digestion, your sleep patterns, these aren't side notes. They are the foundation upon which your mental clarity and creativity are built. You may be tempted to override your exhaustion or explain it away. But truthfully, any persistent fatigue or emotional numbness isn't just about stress. It's your system's way of asking for care. This is a good time to pay attention to how you've been nourishing yourself, not just with food, but with the energy you allow into your space. Emotional overstimulation, information overload, or even unspoken tension in your environment may be weighing on you more than you realize. If you've been feeling emotionally off balance or mentally foggy, take it as a signal. Your spirit isn't asking for a quick fix. It's asking for a recalibration, a more compassionate routine, better boundaries around your energy, and spaces where you can process quietly without needing to explain yourself. That same theme of recalibration extends into your closest relationships, especially within the family. A long-standing tension, perhaps with an older woman, a maternal figure, or someone you've carried emotional history with, feels like it's approaching a moment of soft resolution. Not because everything suddenly becomes perfect, but because you are different now. You no longer need to win or be right. You simply want peace. And that longing alone opens a door that may have remained closed for years. But proceed with care. The presence of subtle misunderstandings or even quiet betrayals suggests that not every truth needs to be dragged into the light at once. You are wise enough now to know which conversations are meant to heal, and which ones are best released in silence. Gemini, you are a communicator by nature, but today, your power lies in discernment, not volume. Trust that your emotional intelligence is growing. Trust that harmony doesn't require performance, it only asks for presence. If you move through this day with intention and self-respect, both your health and your relationships will begin to reflect the balance you've been quietly building inside. You're not just maintaining anymore. You're healing. You're maturing. And you're doing it in a way that doesn't sacrifice your essence to keep the peace. It creates peace by honoring who you truly are. In the realm of your professional life, Gemini, and the energy is shifting, and for once, it's not demanding that you prove yourself through hustle or constant reinvention. Instead, it's recognizing the quiet resilience you've shown behind the scenes. The Nine of Wands acknowledges the weight you've been carrying, projects that stretched longer than expected, decisions that felt uncertain, and the mental fatigue of always being on. You may be tired, but you are not broken. In fact, you're closer to a breakthrough than you realize. Not because everything is suddenly easy, but because you've stayed the course when it mattered most. The appearance of the Wheel of Fortune confirms what you may have already felt in your gut. The external environment is finally starting to align with the internal clarity you've been cultivating. Doors that were once sealed tight are starting to loosen. Whether it's a promotion, a new role, or a creative opportunity you never considered before, something is shifting in your favor, and the timing is no accident. You've done your part, and now the universe is meeting you halfway. The Chariot strengthens this theme of personal agency. This isn't just about getting lucky, it's about stepping into a phase where you actively steer your professional path with more confidence and focus. You're no longer reacting to expectations or external chaos. You're directing energy where it matters, protecting your time, and choosing which projects actually deserve your mental bandwidth. Whether it's launching something of your own, changing industries, or simply reclaiming your voice in meetings, you're learning how to lead with clarity, not noise. But with rising momentum comes the need for discretion. The Seven of Swords is a quiet reminder that not everyone around you is aligned with your growth. There may be people observing, questioning, or even subtly undermining your moves. This doesn't mean you need to retreat. It means you need to protect what you're building. Keep your strategies close. Not every idea needs to be shared. Not every milestone needs to be announced. This is your time to work smart, not loud. Ultimately, Gemini, your career is moving into a new chapter, one defined less by proving and more by owning. Your ideas hold weight. Your voice carries value, and your path no longer needs constant reinvention to be valid. Trust the shifts. Guard your momentum. And let your consistency speak louder than your explanation ever could. You're not just growing professionally. You're becoming the kind of leader you once thought you had to chase. And now, Gemini, we arrive at the space that often carries the most complexity, the matters of the heart. There is a connection lingering in your emotional field. Not quite present, but not truly gone. You may feel it in the quiet moments, in dreams, or even in the way certain memories resurface uninvited. It's not a coincidence. This relationship, whatever form it has taken, is in transition. There may be distance right now, emotional or physical, and you may have assumed that the silence marked the end. But the energy says otherwise. This isn't a closed door. It's a moment of pause. And behind that stillness, something deeper is unfolding. The Two of Cups and the Lovers both speak to the potential for real, mutual intimacy, not the kind built on urgency or idealization, but the kind that requires truth, vulnerability, the shedding of ego. And that's where the real invitation lies. Because for this relationship to become what it's capable of becoming, both of you will need to show up differently. It's not just about coming back together, it's about coming back as your most honest selves. Without performance, without the quiet punishments of pride, and without using past wounds as shields. The person on the other side of this connection is thinking seriously about you, more than they've let on. They may be working through internal barriers, shame, fear of rejection, or responsibilities that made emotional openness difficult. But the energy is shifting now. They are considering how to reach out in a way that feels grounded, whether it's a message, a conversation, or a gesture that finally breaks the silence and clears the tension. It might not arrive with dramatic fanfare, but you'll recognize the sincerity behind it. That said, Gemini, this isn't about waiting passively. It's about staying rooted in your own emotional maturity while remaining open to reconnection. Let go of the need to define the outcome right away. Let go of trying to read their every move or decode their silences. Focus instead on what this period of space has revealed about you. Where do you still guard your heart out of habit? Where are you afraid to be seen fully, even in love? Because here's the truth. Love that lasts isn't perfect. It's honest. And the deeper this connection wants to go, the more it will ask you both to release the patterns that once kept you safe, but now only keep you apart. This could be a beginning, again, not a repeat. Butarenual, but only if it's built on truth. So take a breath. Gemini, you don't need to rush toward or away from anything. Just stay open. Let love, in its realist form, find you when both hearts are ready, not just to reconnect, but to rebuild. So, Gemini, as we close today's journey, take a quiet moment to honor how far you've come, not in loud accomplishments, but in the steady, invisible work of becoming more aligned with yourself. The shifts you're feeling now aren't random. They are echoes of a deeper transformation that's been unfolding beneath the surface for quite some time. You're not stuck. You're not behind. You're standing at the edge of something real, a new chapter where your choices come from clarity, not confusion. Whether it's in love, work, your health, or your sense of self-worth. Today's energy reminds you that you are allowed to grow beyond what once defined you. You are allowed to let go of the noise, of the pressure to always explain, and simply trust that your quiet inner knowing is enough. You're not here to perform, you're here to evolve. And Gemini, you're doing that beautifully. Let this be your takeaway. You don't need all the answers to move forward. You only need to keep showing up with honesty, with curiosity, and with respect for the person you are becoming. Thank you for spending this moment with me. I'll meet you here again soon. Until then, stay open, stay discerning, and keep choosing yourself one aligned step at a time.